Edward here from erviewer.com and from the crypto viewing group here. Just want to do a shout out for my buddies here, Dick Allgaier and Dan Smith and Benjamin. So we are the crypto viewing team, and we do a lot of cool and interesting and, in my opinion, very important stuff here. All right, the final session for target 1013-8362. A very rainy and dreary Austin day as I am getting over or attempting to get over the dreaded Central Texas cedar fever allergies. And the target here again was Dustin had set up. I asked Dustin for a target. He set up a project for me here to remote view Dock Ellis on June 12th, 1970, while Dock Ellis was pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he was just happened to be on a heavy dose of LSD while he was doing that game, and that was his one and only no-hitter game that he had ever pitched, which is very interesting. Talks about the potentials of LSD. Now, I was talking with Dustin, and he was saying that he was inspired to do this target from a conversation he was having with his wife. How when Dustin was younger, he played baseball, and when he was saying that there's a nanosecond while you're winding up, and you turn away, and you turn back to the catcher, and you're in the process of throwing that ball. In that nanosecond, there's an altered state where everything lines up and time kind of suspends and space kind of opens up as that process happens. And that's very similar to a remote viewing experience. So it's in a nanosecond that he experiences that. And that's what inspired him to task this particular event out here. The other interesting thing about it was to have the remote viewer, in this case me, be able to single out a single person in a crowd of thousands of people yelling and screaming and all this stuff going on, but to narrow it down to one person and their mind space. That was the other intention behind this target. So it all lined up and it came out pretty cool. Some of this, before we go into this session here, perceived brain function, processing while pitching during the described game. The brain function of Dock Ellis. So in this session here, the task or the movement was the main person. The main person, like the self-cued movement that I gave myself, move to the main person doing this and describe his purpose. So that was the main person. The task then was to describe that person more. So that's what I did, was going into this session here. The mind of a puzzle solver, which was interesting in the previous one, exploring the mind. I'm right into the mind space here, mind corridors, entering an altered state, right here. Going into a different dimension. And here is what I was perceiving this person was doing here as it was kind of crackling through time and space. A ripple in time, like a glassy mind space. Finding a gap in the mind and moving through it. Lucid dream-like. It's like a lucid dream, altered mind space. This is right into it. Nice and easily into this space here. Entering into an all-knowing mind field, accessing higher level information. I got the stage 7 as S7. S7 is when the viewer hears something, a phrase. You can hear a phrase in your mind, and this one I was hearing in my mind, mind birth. Like a peeling away of the mind. And here was an image of the brain, like part of the target variables here, the perceived brain function. I was perceiving the brain moving into higher states, and these were like pieces peeling off of the brain, like shells, or like a spacecraft as it's dropping off these shedding the lower levels of the rocket as it's moving into space, that kind of thing. But all these layers were peeling off the brain. Reminds me of John C. Lilly in the float tank. John C. Lilly is one of the people I find a very interesting human being. John C. Lilly invented the float tank, or the sensory deprivation tank. He was a scientist, and he took LSD and went into the float tank and explored the human mind, and about as far as any other human being has been able to do it. I have several of his books, and I find them to be very interesting. Check out John C. Lilly. His mind is outside of his body, contact with other beings or other parts of himself. That's very important. Contact with other beings or other parts of himself, like a divine state. From here, I want to move to the outcome of Listen Described, like a changed person. There's no fail. There's no fail. That's interesting because, like in the other one, I was getting like a failed attempt, but in this realm here, there was in a space of no failing. Another thing that somebody commented on too is that as Dock Ellis was describing this experience, he was feeling during the game and on the LSD that his life depended on it, which was what I was getting up here, that kind of tension of danger, like his life depended on him winning that game. It reminds me of the movie Ten Commandments when Moses gets the tablets and is changed. That was a very strong, we call that AOL of the signal, analytical overlay of the signal. And I was seeing that moment in that movie where Moses picks up them tablets, he comes down, and he's got this incredible energy source, and his changes, physiology has changed. Even the face changes, the person looks different. Like they went away for a long time in a short period. That was very interesting there. They look experienced, like Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? But it's difficult to convey and explain. It's very difficult to explain. I was trying to explain it with, or my brain was trying to process this with analogies of movies and stuff like that. It's like God smacked. Like a part of you wishes you didn't do it, and the rest of you is glad that you did. Because there is only one way to find out. You can't read it, you have to experience it. It's like death. And that was it. That was the final statement, the final experience for this target. Very interesting sessions, very interesting target. I really enjoyed these sessions, and I'm glad that Dustin put this project together the way that he did, because it gave me an opportunity to go to experience someone in the LSD state without me having to take it and go through it. But it gave me a different point of view, a different perspective of the potential of specific molecules and their effect on the human brain, human potential, doing and exploring that in a way that is safe and in a way that is designed for a beneficial exploration as opposed to escapism or for just not good reasons. I'll leave it at that. So that's what this is. This is it. The session, Dock Ellis on LSD. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time doing this session. I learned a lot from it, and I hope you did too, and many more to come.
Solving a puzzle, solving a puzzle. The mind, the mind of puzzle solver. Exploring the mind. It's like mind corridors. Like mind corridors. Like entering an altered state. It's like entering an altered state, or going into a different dimension. Going into a different dimension. It's like a ripple in time. It's like a glassy mind space. Like a glassy mind space. Like a mind corridor, like a finding a gap in the mind and moving through it, lucid dream-like. It's like a lucid dream. Like a altered mind space. Altered mind space. Okay, where do I want to go? Call this. Call this 10. Sensory dimensions. So, okay, what do I want to alter the mind space, entering into an all all-knowing mind field accessing high level information. It's like I'm getting this kind of, maybe this is like an S7, like a mind birth. Mind birth. Like a like a peeling away of the mind. Brain. To your higher states. This reminds me of John C. Lilly in the float tank. His mind is in outside of his body. You have contact with other beings. Or other parts of himself. Contact with like other beings, it's like a divine state. A divine state. Well, I want to remove this. Move to the outcome of this. Move to the outcome of this and describe what's the outcome. What is the outcome of this? Is like a changed person. There is no fail. You know, aged. Reminds me of the movie Ten Commandments, when Moses gets the tablets and is changed. That kind of thing. You know, even the face changes. You know, the person looks different. Like they went away for a long time in a short period. They look experienced. They look experienced, and it's very difficult to convey. Or explain. It's like God smacked. Like a part of you wishes you didn't do it, and the rest of you is glad. Because there is only one way to find this out. Can't read it. You have to experience it. It's like death.